Karen, you call your company a predictive decision support software company,
Decision support for merchandise trends.
but it's prediction. Am I right?
I think we're very careful in terms of when we say we're a predictive platform versus not. Like, I think it's a little bit early to say that we're predictive. There's a lot of patterns we're looking at, and I think there's a lot of correlations and regressions and a lot of data science that can be done to become more predictive. But I think we want a little bit more history and more digging before we actually put a stake in the ground and say that we're predictive.
So what is it?
But we do have.
What is it that your customers are looking to your data to do? They're making decisions with your data about what to what? Mm-hmm. Finish that sentence. About what?
About like specifically, if we're talking, let's say Fashion Week, the decisions they're making today on the collections that they're showing on the runway are for product that's going to be coming out in 6 months. So they're deciding today on what they're going to buy, what buyers are, what they're going to put into production, what they're actually going to use for marketing campaigns. And so previously, like a lot of these were gut-based decisions because you don't really have historical figures or anything to go off from that. We're showing them what's popular digitally on these looks, and so you can actually, this is like kind of more real time.
Is it their look or is it other looks? So the data you're providing is one large melange of billions of data sets, as you describe them. Are they their data about their products, or is it just generic data about all sorts of products?
It's both. So one is you can look specifically at one brand's product, and so you're kind of looking at things at a micro level on specific looks and SKUs. And this, particularly for runway, it's looking at something that's, going to be put in production. This is when it's still at the sample stage. And then when you look at that versus the industry, you start to see macro trends. So then you start to say, well, I had this one pink blouse. How did that do relative to other looks in my collection? But then you always kind of want to take a step back and say, what's trending in the industry, and did we have a miss?
Can you tell the difference between what is a fad and what is a trend?
So one thing you can do is look at a trend. If it's a longer thing, is like, is there a seasonality to it? Is there something that keeps it like lasting longer than a fad that just goes in and out?
Let me ask you,
and
when you look at information that you provide is given within the context of some kind of facilitation software, or when you say you're helpful in making people make better decisions, are those decisions based on some framework of software that you give them, or is it just, gee, I got all this data, now I've got to come up with what does it all mean? How do you help them do that?
So it's basically like you bring all the data together, but it's drawing the insights for them.
Wow.
So if you look at a fad versus a trend, looking at when something is going up versus down. So like, is something on an upward trend or a downward trend? And so specifically like looking at, different moving day averages, almost like if, as an investor, you kind of look at, in the public markets, you're looking at different shifts and changes. And so looking for leading indicators of when something's going out of fashion is incredibly
something
important.
Is a leading indicator.
So we've done like a number of different case studies where we actually looked at a lot of the data sets we're looking at with sales figures and when you can actually see. So we actually came up with a process to figure out, what certain leading indicators could be. So like an example would be for, a specific item like white shirts, if there's like a drop in search volume and social chatter, and if even the velocity of that kind of conversation is decreasing, then that's kind of an early signal. And we kind of follow
just another form of semantic analysis?
It is a form of semantic analysis, but then I think the really important piece is putting the pieces together. So I think where you're going at, the difference between this and let's say a general social monitoring platform is that you're actually specifically looking at certain terms and how they're related to each other and correlated to each other. And beyond just looking at text.
What algorithm do you use to actually make this happen?
So we've created our own algorithms.
And have you tested them?
So I think a lot of, yeah, and like we're continuing to test, obviously.
How do you know when somebody's saying something that it matters?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's kind of part of how the algorithm works. So for example, if I were to say something and I only had 10 followers versus, if you know, like a big fashion magazine were to say something and they had 10 million followers, there's a different level of engagement. And so you can basically, for a particular brand, if you're looking at a number of variety of factors of engagement, monthly active uniques, like you can actually quantify engagement.
So are you providing your data for marketing, or are you providing your data for the actual company to create the products that the market wants?
Yeah, so our primary customer, or our primary user is like the merchandising organization at an apparel or accessories retailer. That said, we have had interest from agencies that we're working with because they see how it falls into the marketing side, but we would never go into, I think where we really want to differentiate is always focused on products. So the way the marketers find it to be interesting is that we're actually analyzing what type of products resonate and when they should market that and what the timing of that is versus other platforms that are focused on optimizing like campaigns. So that's an area like we're not
more of a marketing
going to
tool.
on. No, I would say more merchandising. If you're choosing the right products, then your marketing is better as a result. So there's obviously a tie into marketing, but that's more of a support function.
How much of your product is a SaaS tool with a dashboard that the user can use themselves? Or how much do you have to be involved in every relationship that you have with the customer? What custom design do you do?
Yeah, so our entire platform is a SaaS platform. It's all a dashboard that you customize and follow.
So you have no interaction with the customer to design anything. They just get on it and they use it.
Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah, I mean that's what we're building towards.
But that's not what you have now.
No, it's there, but we're just like more involved with our customers now because we've been building it with them.
I think you've done a great job. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.